Welcome to NuttieBuddie Entertainment. The Ugly. Ew!
Okay, well, let's get into the ugly. Brian, what's your first ugly?
My I have two, and they're kind of all tied into like the final episode is just an ugly for me. But let me go into like a portion of that, which is intelligentsia was just like a huge ugly through this entire it could have been a cool thing for like an organization like this and to be in the story, but basically it built to this it was a bulletproof way for them to just basically say, it shuts up anyone who critiques the show because it's just like showing a bunch of, comic nerds basically that are just like, we just don't like women. That's why we don't like the show. To me, that's what it was kind of saying. It's like, if you don't like the show, it's because you're like these guys. And it's like, no, I have an opinion and I'm like setting some sort of standards. And it's not just because it's like, well, there shouldn't be a female version of the Hulk. Like that, it's such, I don't know. I just hate that entire thing with intelligentsia. And also like, a cool thing of like that dude, Josh, like sleeping with her to steal her blood is like a decent storyline. And then, basically through that, it's basically absolutely nothing because at the end, it's like, well, we're just going to go see this robot and, we're going to redo the entire story. And the guy's just in handcuffs. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I had that down too. I had villain. The main villain in this show is trolls. That's basically as internet trolls.
Yeah.
Like that's it. And to me, I'm like, you just wasted my time. I don't care.
You just made an entire show about just memeing itself, just being like, you guys are ridiculous. Look, we showed you how ridiculous you are. What?
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Yeah. In the third or fourth episode, when they found out about this company, one of the lawyer, I think, said, don't tell Jen because they don't deserve the acknowledgement, basically.
Yeah.
Is what she said. And I'm like, at the end of the series, I'm like, then why are you acknowledging this? Like, why waste my time? I'm not a troll. I don't think I I don't hate things just for the sake of hating things. And we already talked about, like, me and you, it seems like we have a diverse plethora of different entertainment we like. Wonder Woman, for instance, one of my favorite DC movies. Like, that was really good. Okay, so it's not a woman thing. Okay, so get that out of the way. But what you're doing is wasting my time because, like, all you're doing is sort of like acknowledging these individuals and destroying this entire character story just to like stick it to them. Like, I don't need that in TV shows.
I know. I wish my wife was here, but she's at a concert tonight. But she hated she grudgingly watched with me every episode. And then like she watched the finale with me today and like she thought it was absolutely ridiculous. Like the entire storyline of all of this stuff. It's just like, really? Like just all the hate that comes from Marvel is from like just like guys who basically like can't get women, and that's why they hate Marvel, is because we're introducing all these female characters. No, that's never been one of my complaints about Marvel.
No, in fact, I would say like some of these characters that they've introduced has been like, you can be excited about, right? Like,
yeah,
but you also have to write a good story. We're not going to give you extra credit because you use a different character, like a female character. Like that's not how it works. And it's baffling to me that they would make like acknowledge it. Like,
it is. Yeah,
it's just it just blows my mind. It's like you're saying basically you're giving them what you say they want. So you're saying they want
the
to be
time and money on just like doing a show with this, and CGI ain't cheap. And to use this for it, it's just like, really? And then, they even in the last episode acknowledged like the CGI stuff, which is like, okay, that's kind of tongue in cheek, but it's like also like, well, the CGI in the show is not good, guys. So I don't know what to tell you. Like, you acknowledging that it's not good doesn't fix the issue of just being like, hey, maybe you shouldn't just throw something together and you should actually like do a show. I mean, the beginning of this episode was like a kind of a play on the TV show from back in the day, but like they had a different actor like playing the Hulk version of her. Like, why didn't we just do that? Like, I would have completely been fine. It's a TV show. It's not the actual like MCU Marvel thing. Like, she's not in a movie. Like, do something like that, Yeah.
Yeah. I just, that annoyed me so much. It's like the bro dudes or whatever. And I think you're right too. Like they kind of like discredit the women who watch Marvel and have objectivity, like that have criticism. It's like they're, me, you are married. Like it's not like we, I don't know.
No,
I just,
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
get it. I don't get it.
I
It's just,
know.
it was just a waste of a villain and an opportunity. And I just like, to me, the character She-Hulk deserves better. And I'll even say like the actors and actresses deserve better. I don't think the girl who played She-Hulk was bad. I think that the writing was not great and the direction they took this show was not great.
Yeah,
So
no, none of these characters, like, I will say for Marvel, like, nobody's like they don't hire bad actors, really. Because even trying to think, like, that Johnny Blaze guy, he's a good actor. Like, his part was like corny or whatever. And like, I didn't like the storyline, but he did a good job of playing that character, as well as even the guy who ran or Hulk King. That dude, he wasn't a likable character. He was like the rich dude, but yeah, it's just the writing and like what they were like, this is where we're gonna take the story to go. Like, this is what we're gonna do with She-Hulk, and for them to be like, oh yeah, this is a good idea, let's greenlight the show. It's just like, do we really need content so bad to put on Disney Plus just to get a show out there so people will, come back every month to like, oh, we're waiting for the next release of something to continually come out, that they're just going to be like, well, let's just make a show and it not be anything serious. And, let's just like have it troll people. And yeah, they'll like that. Let's throw it up.
no, I have a couple more problems with the finale, which we'll get into. But yeah, I'm with you 100%. It's just, it blows my mind. Like, anyway, let's see here. You got another ugly?
It's just the final episode, which I don't know if you have an ugly, and then we can just discuss like the final episode.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So, the other ugly, well, this is sort of like, I don't know if this is ugly or bad or whatever, but like every single guy in the series was an idiot except maybe two. Like
Pug, like, I like that actor, the lawyer Pug, but he just seems so like dumb.
Yeah.
Except when he was like, who did he represent again? Oh, it was the Meg Thee Stallion case with the elf from Asgard. And yeah, he was actually a really good lawyer, and we got to see that. But any other time, it just seemed like he was just like aloof and just like, what? And yeah.
So that's sort of like, I just don't get why you have to portray. I get like guys are idiots, like that Todd guy. I thought a rich guy that thinks he's so awesome. I really like that. Like, that was kind of funny. There was a couple other guys that she went on dates on, and like, okay, we all know that guy. But like, where 98% of your guys are like total doofuses and morons, it's like, oh, can we have like 3 competent guys? Like, that's, kind of people. But anyway, Daredevil was one, by the way. He was a good guy. So that's sort of it. And then like, I'll just add this before we get into the finale, because a lot of my ugly comes from the finale, but the not taking itself seriously. Like, there was no serious storyline throughout the show. And I know it was a comedy, but that's what keeps people engaged. So whether it was, like you mentioned, that Josh storyline, that could have been like episode 3, and that could have just like been
Mhm.
like the focus or whatever it was, the abomination. Like there was nothing to be invested in this series, zero. Like because it just didn't take itself seriously. And you know how I felt about Thor: Love and Thunder. Well, this was way worse in my opinion. Like I just like if you don't take anything about your show seriously, I'm not taking you seriously, and then you're just again wasting my time. Why does I just again even in comedies like Dodgeball. Dodgeball is the one I think of. There is
Mm.
serious moments in Dodgeball. I don't know. Have you ever seen Dodgeball?
Yeah, I've seen
Okay,
Dodgeball.
okay. Good. I was gonna say otherwise we're gonna have to do a review for
Okay,
that.
yeah, come on.
Okay, come on. But to me, it's a dumb movie, like in
Yeah,
dumb
yeah.
humor. But there's serious stuff going on in there, weighty
Yes.
stuff. You can have a comedy, How I Met Your Mother, whatever. I can 1,000 examples, but
Mhm.
point is, you can have serious storylines tied into the comedy, and they didn't do that, and that's an ugly for me. Just nothing to be invested in.
Yeah. It's it's the issue of like the reason like Marvel can't get good writers to stick around for the movie, like the whole like the director for Blade dropping out before
Hmm.
they start filming. It's like there's a reason why they're doing this is because, they don't want to put the time and effort into actually writing something that's going to be good because they think it's going to take away from I don't know, superheroes or something like that, but they need to realize like no, you have to write a good story and like actually like be creative and something that's actually like authentic and new to add to something instead of like making a joke about like oh we've done all this in the past so we're going to make a show that's like not like that but it's kind of just pointless because we build up to something and then we just take it all away at the end and nothing happens.
And
So
really, it trolled. It like diminished everything that they've done in the
yeah.
past. It kind of made fun of everything they've done in the past. And so, I mean, I don't know. It just was like, okay, let's
Yeah.
talk about the finale.
Yeah. um Final episode like I was confused when episode 8 ended where it ended with her hulking out. And
Hmm.
then it starts up with her like in prison in this episode. And like what happened to her on the screen with all of her stuff getting leaked out there and like presented in front of this like big show. And you see where her frustration comes from and her anger comes from. But then for her being like, well, everybody just saw you Hulk out, so we're going to give you a plea deal and you can't be She Hulk anymore. And you're fired from your job and no one's going to help you try to find out who these guys are. It was just like, wait, what? We had a whole storyline of where she's like finding herself. She's, being a lawyer and like doing something that she loves. And then we just take that away from one thing that happens, which I understand. Like for Bruce, it wasn't just one thing that like made people turn against him from being the Hulk. It was multiple things. And like there was a big crescendo at the end there with, I can't remember what city he basically hulked out at.
Oh yeah.
Um, it was yeah,
It was in Ultron, right? Age of
yeah,
Ultron.
yeah,
Ah.
exactly. Anyways, um, it wasn't just like one random event and then it all exploded. It was a bunch of stuff accumulating to like a big point. And in this, it was just this happened. No circumstances were taken into place of what was going on. She wasn't actually like hurting the actual like audience in there. She was going after the actual bad guys in the show. And then, all of a sudden everything's just taken away from her. Really?
Yeah, that didn't make a lot of sense. It
No.
just
But that was what led into her just being like, you know, they needed to do all that, take away everything from the story to then, troll everything that had happened in the story for her to, break through that wall and like walk into a writer's room and be like, hey, I want to redo this. Uh, I literally like when that happened, I paused it to see how much longer the episode was. And there was like 13 minutes left. And I'm just like, what are we doing here? I'm like, I do not understand what they're doing with this. And yeah, it just went down from there.
Yeah. So it finally seemed like there was going to be a lot of action, right? Because Titania shows up, Abomination and the Hulk start to fight, and she's like, "Oh, we're doing this again. We're doing this again," right? Like, the villain being the same as the hero, the last scene of any Marvel being sort of like a big CGI fight or whatever. And then it's like, we're going to go and change it. One of the writers said something like, well, we wanted to do something different that, like basically it's every day. It's not going to be what Marvel fans expect, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, that's stupid, because here's the problem, right? Like, it's a superhero show. And so it should have kind of a bigger ending, like, right? Like, it should all accumulate. And to me, when she's like, "Oh, we've done that before," and sort of undermining everything Marvel has already done, you're really like saying, "Oh, like I think it like a slap in the face to your fans." Because like you found enjoyment by this formula. This is silly. We've done this already. How many times have we watched that formula and we're like, "Hey, this is fun."
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. Like, they spent all this money, like Disney spent all this money to get the Marvel franchise as well as like the Star Wars franchise. And what makes those franchises so great is the fandom around them and the people who watch it, because they love it and they take it serious, and they have such an investment into it. But then what they produce, we're saying we don't like it. And then it's like, oh, well, they're just too extreme. Like, the same thing that they loved about it is the same thing that they, don't like, because people are telling them, like, hey, you need to do better.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And that's why I don't understand why, like, oh, we want to draw more of this audience and this audience. If you please your fan base, they will bring the extra audience in, because I'm going to be like, hey, I'll tell you, for instance, when The Dark Knight came out, right? I'm a huge Batman fan, right? And I went to the theaters and saw that movie 6 times, 5 or 6 times. I brought a different person every time, because I'm like, dude, you got to see this movie. People that might not have went and saw Batman. That is how you gain more fans. It's not by like trying these outlandish things. And the thing is like with Marvel, for instance, they have a formula that works and people like that formula. Yeah, we want them to try some things a little differently, and
different
they
stuff.
do.
Yeah.
And they do. And sometimes we like it, sometimes we don't. And then what I thought that they did good in the first 3 phases, phase one, they kind of had a formula. Phase two, they tried different things and they're like, okay, this didn't work, this didn't work, we'll and then phase three, it seems like they kind of got it together a little bit. And I kind of always appreciated about that, because they took the criticism and they adopted, what the fans, what they knew their fans want. Now it's so different, because like they hear criticism and they're like, oh, you just need to be satisfied that you got content. Like and that type of stuff. I'm like, why? What changed? Why do we have to? And again, I know it sounds like we're complaining a lot, guys listening, but this is like, I think, the lowest point of my Marvel fandom. Like,
I know. Yeah.
Eternals, I didn't like Eternals, but man, I'll tell you, I get what they were trying to do. Okay, like I get.
Yeah, I know. Starting to look at Eternals a little bit different now, which is something.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah, I don't know, man. So the other thing, like the other big troll, obviously, is the villain having the same powers as the hero. And I kind of understand the formula, why they do it, because really it's the show, like basically what the villain, what the hero could do, because the villain does what the hero could do with the power that the hero has. But the hero is a hero because they will not let themselves go beyond doing that stuff that the bad guy does. So I get it. So and obviously they brought that up when the guy gave his took She-Hulk's blood and put it in him. But again, when you troll it like that, like they did, like, oh, don't, it just, I guess it kind of like undermines everything you've done when you did that sort of trope or whatever.
I mean, they had the guy in like a red jacket too, so here we're thinking like, oh, he's going to be like Red Hulk or something like that, and it's just like, I don't know. It was just disappointing.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, man, I think that's it. I've said my piece.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I think I have as well. I think okay. Let's talk about changes. Thanks so much for listening to Brian and I break down the She-Hulk Attorney at Law series. Let us know what you thought of this series in the comment below. Let us know your great, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Also, check out some of the other reviews that we've done on the channel. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and we'll talk to you guys next time.